Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports is Ordered. And unlike Mecole Hardman, we are easy to find. Let's give a clap real quick. Jordan Love didn't even throw a pick yesterday. But while we talking about these milk cartons, has anybody seen the Pittsburgh Steelers offense?
He left it on campus. He left it on the campus.
I am 2-5. And of course, I got the one and only, world famous, backing them down with his foot on their neck, Mr. Logical. Jersey's in the house. He already told me that Rutgers going to beat Maryland this weekend. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. But yo,
Scarlet Knights.
We up in here. Monday Night Football. Chiefs, Eagles, Super Bowl rematch, 7-7 second quarter.
We doing the Black Manning cast in here. What's good?
Holla. Happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays out there to y'all. We coming at y'all once this week, so we got picks tonight. But
we're not eating pumpkin pie this weekend.
I am. I'm eating pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie. I'm eating it all. And you gotta have a Cool Whip too. You know what I'm saying? So you know what? If I don't have my Cool Whip, that'll be a get it off my chest. You know what I'm saying? But for the time being, get it off my chest. Start now.
Yeah, so like I told Mike in our pre-meet, I'm going to keep it simple. I want to shout out the Northern Burlington Junior Greyhounds football teams. All 4 teams made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Had home playoff games last week. I worked the announcement booth. They called me the voice. Now, I mean, I'm out there getting it in, playing the music. I'm giving the kids, oh, no, giving them nicknames. So, you know, having a good time. But all 4 teams won their playoff game last week. So now they're in the conference championship round. That's this weekend. So 2 games were in dramatic fashion, onside kicks and 4th down stops and goal line interceptions. And I mean, it just was crazy. One game with the overtime at 0-0. I mean, it was probably the most exciting 0-0 game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, shit. They out there acting like Iowa, huh?
Yo, from the 20 to the 20, both teams could do no wrong, either offensively or defensively. From the 20 to the 20, they were making plays everywhere, all over the field, making plays. Running, rolling to the right, throwing back left across the field, deep routes. I mean, it was crazy. Get to the 20, holding, face mask. They did something to mess it up for themselves. And then in overtime, our team finally prevailed and fought through. So shout out to Northern Burlington Junior Greyhounds. So rooting for them. All 4 teams make the playoffs, 3 home games, 1 road game, then the championship the week after that. So that's my get off my chest as a positive one. Good luck, fellas. I'll see y'all Saturday.
Congrats, young fellas. You know, get it off my chest. I ain't really have one, so I'm just going to make up something on the spot. We was watching this Monday Night Football game, and my guy Sneed for the Chiefs came up with the interception. He was gathering himself. You know, he fell, caught the ball, was tucking it in. He rolled, and his leg just happened to touch A.J. Brown's leg, who was standing right next to him. And I think A.J. Brown didn't touch him on purpose. Well, he wasn't trying to touch him on purpose because Sneed got up. A.J. Brown ended up stripping the ball, you know, fumble. But, you know, they reviewed it and everything, ended up Kansas City ball. And I was upset because I was sitting there like, I understand the rule and everything. It's been around forever. Yeah. But look, my whole thing is, if you're going to call somebody down by contact, can the defender, or in this case, the offensive player, can A.J. Brown make an attempt to touch Sneed versus Sneed rolling into his leg, and because he's on the ground, he's ruled down by contact? Like, where is the intent?
You don't need intent.
I need intent.
You need contact.
Just like when you go to court, right? You know, like there's intent. There's you know, was this self-defense? Was this you just being a criminal? There's intent involved.
If you cause an accident, you don't need intent. Hey, you caused this accident. You didn't intend to, but you did it. So you don't need intent. He rolled over. He got too close, legs touched, down by contact. He stripped the ball out, which is good on him. And it looks like Philly made up for it by getting their own interception in the end zone. But hey, yeah, it was a dumb throw. But it's a dumb rule. But like I said, I like it because the same thing happened last night in the Buffalo Jets game. Granted, that game wasn't close and it was never going to be close. It was never a big deal. But Garrett Wilson fumbled, was recovered. The safety's toe was on Garrett Wilson's elbow when he was on the ground. But he had gotten up. He lateraled it to Poyer. Poyer ran around, scored a touchdown. So, granted, that game was never really in balance, never really in doubt because the Jets have their own issues. But you got to call it fair. You got to call it straight up because it can impact the game to the point where if you give it a gray area, because we were having that, remember with the reviews for the pass interference when they did that a couple of years ago. No referee is going to look at that and say, oh, well, they went with the call. They were going to stick with the call. I think it was something like 90-something% they stuck with the pass interference call. Like the NBA is getting a little better because some of their stuff is so obvious. It's like, yeah, so-and-so didn't touch the ball going out of bounds. They can be like, okay. But the foul calls, they rarely reverse those because that's the gray area. So they're going to stick with what they stick to. I think the down by contact is like, boom, no ambiguity. This is it. That way they can't butcher it. Because if you give them to butcher it, they'll butcher it.
No, but like, okay, so like the scenario that I mentioned was like, okay, so if the quarterback is throwing a bomb, Randy Moss style, and you go up for the ball, I'm the defender, and I go up and I reach and get the interception, and in midair, whatever, our bodies are touching because we're both trying to get the ball. I hit the ground. I understand that. But literally, he just rolled and AJ Brown was standing there. Like if AJ Brown was not standing there, he gets up and he runs a little bit further or whatever the case may be. So that's why I mentioned intent from the standpoint of like, if you're going to call me down by contact, then make the defender or make the dude contact me. There was no contact. He just rolled into his shin.
Like, but if that's the case, if you allow for the gray area to be argued, then you're gonna have to allow for a challenge, and AJ Brown can say, "I didn't intend on trying to touch him." So,
well, AJ Brown literally was stepping away from him because he didn't want to touch him, so he could strip the football.
So now, who's to say? Oh, well, you got close enough, so you knew there was a likelihood you could touch him. So now you're just getting into likelihoods and mishigosh and being gobsmacked and all the other words.
No, it's like football, like all these dumb rules make me mad. Just like, the running back, or the quarterback crossing the goal line, all he has to do is put the ball out there. The receiver's got to do a somersault. He's got to buy groceries. He's got to call an Uber. He's got to get up without.
Those are two different scenarios.
Just like the Calvin Johnson touchdown.
The Calvin Johnson play was awful. I agree that it was awful, but the reason that they had to change is because that call was a gray area. See what I'm saying?
There wasn't no gray area. It was a catch.
No, because no one had ever even heard of that until that day. No one had heard of that. I had been watching football this probably was we'll call it 7 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe
something like that. Yeah,
because the Dez year was 2014. I think it was that season, so we gave it 10 years. Damn, that's a long time. Maybe we getting old. So it was 10 years. I had never heard. I got a little bit there. I had never heard of that. I never heard that phrase on a football field from a referee and his explanation. It was going to the ground. I was I thought it was a catch or a catch. It was incomplete. I remember when remember the push out. Mm-hmm. If a wide receiver, if the referee believed that the receiver would have gotten his foot down in bounds, they would have called it a catch.
See, now that's gray area. Yeah, and that's gray area.
Because that depends on if the ref believes, because I see some catches where who's real good on with their toes? Calvin Ridley. He's really good at getting his toes down.
Cortland
Sutton, really good at getting their feet down.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those catches that they make. Who else made a catch a few weeks ago? Jordan Addison against Atlanta. He made a catch where he was getting pushed out of bounds by the safety who was coming across full speed and still got both toes down.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a referee in 1997 and some guys could make that catch and he doesn't get his feet down, like, oh, I don't think he would have been able to get his feet down because that was too much. Oh, got another flag? No.
Kelsey out here looking like a damn giant. but no, like so like this is my thing though. Like
so that was the I think the more and more we can get away from the gray area, even if you don't like it, at least let both teams have the same advantage and every game have the same advantage and or disadvantage. So it's like we don't like it, but at least it's the same. At least it could be called. It was called the same way last night.
Yeah, we'll just all be wrong.
Not wrong. The same. Like I said, if it got called differently last night versus tonight, that would be the problem.
Nah, I just like I said, like it's one thing if you're both trying to make a play, you inadvertently touch or whatever, we call you down. But like AJ Brown literally stood there like this because he didn't want to touch him. He didn't want to touch him. You know what I mean? So like anyway, but yeah, I just didn't like that. You know what I mean? Like just like, you know, I mean, obviously, like when you get into the NBA, for example, we get into like these flagrant fouls, you know, or like what's a foul? Like a couple years ago, back in the day, Roy Hibbert time, you know, they used to do the thing where they raised their arms up and they would call it verticality, like no foul, like you went straight up, you know, you didn't swipe down or whatever the case, so it's not a foul. I guess they got rid of that. Like, you know what I mean? Because now these offensive players don't have no intent on making a shot at all. You know, so they just go to fling themselves at you.
Yeah.
You know, and they get the foul call, even if you still go straight up with your hands, like, you know. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, sports is just off the chain right now. I don't know.
Yeah, like, it's a little different, but they worked out the rip through move, the Kevin Durant move. They took that out so guys couldn't get 3 free throws. My main issue as we transition to our next topic, but real quick with the NBA, I don't like when players offensive stars are on their end of the floor begging for calls, begging for every time they get touched to get called.
Fast break.
And then when they get called, but not them personally, but their team gets called for a foul on the other end, they get all aggravated. It's like, you guys are all literally calling for fouls. So eventually they're going to get called on either end. So if you just went out there and played, like I think if these players played through contact, you'd probably have the same amount of foul calls, but you'd get way less whining. You might even get more. Some of these guys might average like maybe 4, maybe 5 more points if they just went to the rim with the intent of, I'm gonna play through this Roy Hibbert vertical. You know, instead of trying to get 2 free throws, I'm gonna just play to get to the rim.
Dwayne Wade,
because I'm a short dude. When I play basketball, I'm like, I wouldn't call a foul unless you hit my arm as I'm trying to lay the ball up. Like if you bump me, I'm expecting the bump. Like I'm driving to you. You're trying to defend your hoop. I'm going this way. I expect contact. So like I'm good with the contact. Just don't hit me in the face and don't hit my arm.
Yeah, I think I remember, you know, I think it might have been game 3. I forget which year it was, but it was the Celtics against the Heat. And at halftime, they interviewed Rondo. And, you know, they're like, you guys are getting out in transition. Like, what's the difference tonight? And he was like, they down here arguing with the refs every time. You know, so they just push the ball, you know, and that's where, like, you know, get off my lawn. You know, that's where us old guys, we're like, hey, the NBA was tough. Now, obviously, they was doing some extra stuff, but we were like
doing the same. All the scorers and shooters back then were arguing just as much as it's now.
I know, but
all day long, yeah.
No, but what I mean is just like back then, you knew going into the pit. You knew there was going to be contact. You knew you were going to get hit. Like I said, they went extra with it.
6 dudes. It used to be 6 guys on the floor in the NBA that couldn't shoot a lick.
Yeah.
Out of 10 dudes on the floor, it was about 5 to 6 that they were like hockey with enforcers. Those dudes were not even looking at the net.
Yo,
they weren't looking to pass, nothing. They were out there just to hit.
Speaking of the NBA, I need people to get it together. So I was at the UTSA game the other day. Shout out to the Roadrunners, 49-21 win over USF. And I was in the bathroom going to the urinal, and this dude like comes in, he comes up to the urinal right beside me, all that kind of stuff. And then he goes, "Holy shit, dude, like I thought you were Bruce Bowen for a second." And
Bruce Bowen 6'7".
I know. I was like, I need y'all people to get it together, bro. Like that dude is like a foot taller than me. Like I need y'all to get over it. It can't be Bruce Bowen, Darius Rucker.
If you thought you were Kenny Smith while sitting down,
don't you start that shit again.
Yo, dog. I put the podcast on in the barbershop. They said, "Man, he looked like somebody that's already on TV." I'm like, "This dude." They were like, "Yeah."
Yo,
Bruce Bowen. I'm like, Bruce.
You got my wife. You got my own wife calling me Kenny Smith and shit.
Yo, I'm telling you, you look and sound like Kenny Smith.
Nah,
all you gotta do is put a suit on you. How you walk bow-legged.
You know what I'm saying? Shave all my shit. But yeah, but yo, you know what I'm saying? It's Thanksgiving week. That means we got more football. And of course, I will be taking my talents up to Jerry World, to watch the team formerly known as the Commanders, known as the Ain't Shits right now. Then you got San Francisco and Seattle that night, first place in the NFC West on the line. We got Detroit, Green Bay. And then for the first time ever, we got a Black Friday game. The Jets against the Dolphins with Tim Boyle.
Discount quarterback Boyle in the game.
Dude, this dude has 3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in his career, in 18 games. In college at UConn, he had 1 touchdown and 13 interceptions. Then he went to FCS, and I guess he did all right. He ended up in the NFL somehow. And I'm sitting up here like, there had to have been a better quarterback out there somewhere.
I'm going to check something real quick.
But touchdown Travis Kelce. So Chiefs going for the extra point right now. 1:45 left in the second quarter. The kick is up. It is good. 14-7. Champs.
6'4", 234.
Boyle?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why he got drafted?
That's not, I don't think he got.
But he probably didn't get drafted. But yeah, he fit the prototype.
He fit the prototype. Big, tall, strong quarterback. Probably smart, cerebral, real gym rat. All the attributes they assigned.
Well, he gonna need all of that on Friday.
Yeah, man, he gonna throw like 3 picks. They're gonna put Zach Wilson back in the game.
Oh, geez. So I asked in the intro, where is the Steelers offense? What in the world has happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Kenny Pickett's last football highlight was that fake slide in college.
No, I can't let you slide with that. I can't let you slide with that.
Give me one.
Just like 5 weeks ago,
you threw a go route.
Yeah, and beat the Ravens. The game-winning touchdown.
It was one-on-one coverage and a 0. Like, you got to be able to. All you got to do is throw it up. It wasn't like he threw it in a tight coverage.
The Peterman can't make that throw.
Yo, he can make it. He can make it one out of 10 times. Yeah, Kenny Pickett has
a game-winning touchdown this season.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield had a couple of those too. It's upsetting me because I feel this way about a lot. Because I was talking about this earlier when Sam Howell was struggling. It's like, man, I feel like some of these players out here not realizing that their play is going to get somebody fired. Some kid is going to have to move out of their school because you can't study your iPad and figure out when it's, where not to throw the ball.
Yeah,
you can't understand the game plan. Now you're gonna get a coach fired. Now I've seen some situation where the coach makes bad decisions, and it's like we could talk about the Seattle Rams ending when you got the completion of DK Metcalf. It's 1st and 10 from the 31.
Mm-hmm.
They probably could have clocked it about 27 seconds. Would you think? Because I think the play started at 42.
Mm-hmm.
So they ran the clock, snapped it at 42 seconds, pass completed, down. They get up there. Realistically, NFL quarterback, you can get a clock by 28. Now you had a 48-yard field goal. I think it was like close to 50. I think it was at the 33-yard line. Now I got 27 seconds. They let it run and then ran an inside zone handoff. They got nothing. I'm like, well, hell, clock it now then. At least clock it and then run another, like, because realizing, because I get the inside zone handoff. If you get 6 yards on it, bet, clock it, bring out the field goal unit. But you got nothing on it.
Well,
like they ran a field goal unit out there as if that strategy worked versus it didn't work. Clock it. Let's get the third down.
Well, not to switch to college football, but just for a quick second, my Beavers, that were supposed to beat Washington, held Washington scoreless in the second half. They get the ball back down 22-20 with about 7 minutes left. I even texted you. I was like, down to 7 minutes left. Time for the Beavs to go make me look like a genius. And they literally looked like they had a 10-point lead. And, so they started at the 14 or something like that. And they ran 5 minutes off the clock and were like just getting to midfield and didn't get it on fourth down. And now all Washington got to do is run out the clock because you didn't have any urgency to go get points.
Like the just Saturday Colts Steelers game last year.
Yeah.
When you had the ball 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on
and you acting like you winning.
And you got nothing out of it.
But anyway, back to the NFL. So so Seattle definitely blew that. They got San Francisco, like I said, on Thursday night. Luckily for them, the game is in Seattle. We'll see what happens. But as I was watching the NFL this weekend, there were a couple of things that stood out to me. And one of them is like, I can't remember the last time, and of course I got to talk about my own team. I can't remember the last time I saw a team lose 3 fumbles in the same game. Like, you might fumble and recover it yourself a couple of times, but that's pretty hard to lose 3 fumbles.
3 different players? Well, Kansas City lost. How many? They didn't lose. They just dropped passes against.
Yeah, Detroit. They dropped passes. Yeah, and they had the pick 6. That was about it, But
that went off their hands in a drop.
Yeah, to Brian Branch. Yep, and then but 6 turnovers total for Washington at home against a team that's averaging averaging 11.8 points a game, and you done let them score more than that twice this season. So, yeah. The other thing,
is the same team that averaged 31 points against Philly.
It don't make sense. Well, there is a thing. Like, sometimes in sports, certain teams just have your number.
Styles big
fights. Like I don't know if you remember this, but back when my guy, the late great Kobe Bryant, was still running around the NBA, there was a point where they had lost 18 straight to the Bobcats.
What?
Yeah, it was like, why? How does that even happen? Gerald Wallace and them was giving it to him, I guess. But the other thing that stood out to me, did Chicago blow that game on purpose?
My dad texted me because what was it? I was in here. I was doing homework. I had a game on TV, but I was doing my homework and I had a game on the iPad. And I looked up, and I think the last thing I had saw, the Bears were up like 23-14. Is that or 20 like 23-14?
Yeah. Then they got a field goal to make it 26-14. Yep.
So I saw that. Then finished up my homework, got in the car, had to take my son somewhere. My dad texted me. He was like, "Who gets fired first?" And let me see who he texted me. Big Show would get it right because I was like, "What happened?"
Yeah, because Jared Goff was playing awful. Like,
they got 3 picks out of him.
Yeah, my homeboy, that was playing fantasy football. At one point during the game, he texted me and said Jared Goff has negative 2.3 points right now.
He was like, "Who gets fired tomorrow? Coach Rivera, Staley, or Eberflus?" And my response was like, "Did Chicago lose?" Because, like I said, I was out, and he was like, "Yes." So,
yes, they did.
And
they had a safety at the end just because.
I was like, Chicago wants to play well enough. This is what I told him. Like, Chicago wants to play well enough to look like a good team for a coach. So when they fire Eberflus, they can convince Harbaugh or Kingsbury or whoever to come join them. Like, listen, we got a good squad. We think you're the guy to get us over the hump. I think that's what I'm feeling. Chicago is like. I think they're good with the loss. It's just kind of like how San Antonio's playing right now. I think San Antonio's good with figuring it out. Like we'll get to basketball, figuring it out, and then adding a piece this off season that maybe bring in another, just to be enticing. Because some teams are so bad. Like I don't know what Arizona.
Kansas City dropping passes again. But anyway.
Like I don't think Arizona is appealing to anyone because you're
unless
not
they get
sure if they're
Caleb
going to keep.
Williams, unless they get Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
Or at least I think Chicago gets the number one pick, second, like maybe third or fourth or something like that. And then Arizona. So Arizona's going to need to be a package deal. Like they're going to need a lot of stuff to kind of fall into place. I think Chicago is probably built to win. I think they can win that division. I think that division's up for grabs. I know Detroit's having a nice little run, but eventually Detroit's going to have to pay a couple people.
And the sad thing is that next week at this time, I will be watching the Chicago Bears.
I saw that, and I don't know if you could flex Monday night games out. I think they're kind of locked in.
Yeah, because it's different network.
But we got the Pasternak. It's a good story. Justin Field is a good looking football player. So I think the records. I think Josh Dobbs being a good story makes it a good Monday night matchup. I don't know how they picked Minnesota and Chicago this late in the season, but it worked out in their favor.
Justin Fields yesterday. 18 rushes, 104 yards. The rest of the Bears, 29 rushes, 78 yards. I don't know. But yeah.
Get an offensive head coach.
But yeah, so we're starting off the week. Thanksgiving, of course. Detroit and Green Bay. I think both of us are probably taking Detroit.
Yes, we'll probably both be wrong.
They were going to be 9-2 if they win that game. Philly loses tonight, then Detroit and Philly got a real race going on to see who's going to get the number 1 seed. But yeah, I got Detroit. I think Green Bay, I said it the other night, I should have listened to myself. Green Bay was going to beat the Chargers just because that's what the Chargers do. It has nothing to do with Green Bay, even though Jordan Love didn't throw a pick. It had nothing to do with them. And wouldn't you know it, Aaron Jones is hurt again.
It's a tough position to play.
Yeah, man. Like this is like his 3rd or 4th injury just this season alone.
I think these guys come back too early. A-Chain, he was limping in and out of the game yesterday. It's like you come back and you say you're 100%. You're probably closer to 70. You just feel good. You're juiced up.
Yeah,
and then
that adrenaline wears off.
You make that cut and you get tackled, and it's like, oh yeah, this is why I sat out practice this week.
All right, here we go. From 43, 2 seconds left in the half. Butker is good. So 17-7, halftime champs. But yeah, so then of course we got the game that I'm going to be live and in person for some strange reason. I tried to resell these tickets today, but the Dallas Cowboys are favored by 11 points over the Commanders. What say you, Mr. Logical?
I'm taking the points. If I'm making the bet, I'm taking the points. I'm still going to take Dallas to win.
I'm taking the over.
I'm definitely taking the points. 11 points? I mean...
Yeah. That's a lot.
That's a lot. I think if you lost your quarterback in this last loss, like if they would have lost Sam Howell and then lost the Giants, I'm like, yeah.
Even then, we got Jacoby Brissett as the backup. So, like, I don't even know if they're 11 points better than them.
Yeah, the 11 is strange. Maybe they figure it's a short week. Maybe they figure it's so demoralizing to lose the Giants.
I mean, 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers. I mean, if anything, I would think. So this is the question. Is Washington ready to quit? That's the question.
It's football seems like such a tough sport to half-ass it.
But people do it all the time.
I mean, it just I don't know. I think because so many players are always auditioning for another team. We talked about the turnover, something like 65% of your team returns, 35% of your team's new every year. So nickel corner, guy in a contract year, offensive lineman, like these unsung heroes that don't have these glaring stats that make them value. They got to put stuff on film. Like everything has to be on film. Like, because I don't know if they count downfield blocks or downfield pancakes or blocks past 15 yards on run plays. I don't know if they count that as like an official stat. So that has to be on film. So I can't see guys, even guys. Oh, Hufanga has a torn ACL.
Oh,
It's tough. Tawana Hufanga, safety for the 49ers, torn ACL.
Man. It's terrible.
So yeah, I think what you're gonna get is maybe in game, maybe you don't get the depth you need because you're just like, I don't care. Or as a defense, like it was a play last night where, like I said, I'll go back to the Jets Buffalo game. Think 23. That's Micah Hyde, or is that Poyer? That's Hyde, right?
I think it's Hyde, yeah.
I think he used to play in Green Bay. So now it kind of makes a little bit more sense, but even though it still pissed me off. So he got the lateral on that down by contact play. And Lazard was chasing him down the field, got blocked by a couple of people. He cut back inside. And from like the 10, he had like a 2-3 yard lead on Lazard. And they both kind of just jogged to the end zone. And then Lazard like kept jogging into the end zone and gave him a hug like right after the touchdown score. Maybe he saw that the play was blown dead. I don't know. I didn't hear any whistles, but he definitely like jogged and like gave him a bro hug in the fourth quarter, down 20 something points. So it's like, it could be that, like where you just like, because with Zach Wilson, it's not gonna work. After the first quarter, you see if he's in a groove, maybe he's like in a tiny groove and he's like, okay, he's confident, he's seeing it, and you're like, okay, we can win this. We have a chance. But I think after a quarter, after a couple of drives, you just realize like, oh, this dude doesn't get any better. He just is so bad. It's so bad how bad he looks on the football.
It's so bad how he's so bad.
It's like you just look at it like you had to see this in practice. Like I talk about it with like the youth football games when I've gone to some games, and this one team from here, like a team out of South Jersey called Maple Shade, they used to run like this herky jerky offense where it was like the brotherly shove before the brotherly shove was popular. They would all just kind of huddle down behind the line of scrimmage, literally squat down. They'd get little running backs, they squat down. And this is from the 85 level, which is the 7 to 8 year olds, all the way up to the 13 year olds. Every team ran the same offense. It made no sense. They'd all squat down and they would do like little fake handoffs behind the line of scrimmage, and hopefully somebody will pop out. Now, if you had a fast enough kid and he gets on the edge, he's good to go. But when you have our team, our kids were always big. We were always big up front. We would just push. We would just push the guard on top of the running backs that are ducked down behind them. So like kids are just literally sitting on top of each other. So it's 4th and 19, and they're calling these plays. And I was like, if I'm a parent and I'm watching, I know it's 4th and 19. This play hasn't worked all day. We're down 3 touchdowns, and you call it again. And our kids are just getting mauled over, and now the other teams get the ball back. That's what it feels like when I watch the Jets play. And it's
but why now? Why now? Like, why bench Zach Wilson now? When, like, I mean, so looking at
waited
this
long to make a move, and now they got to do something because it looks so bad.
But let's look at this logically. Let's look at this logically. See what I did there? I
liked it.
So 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions at UConn. 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his NFL career. You're going to start him against Tua?
They know it's over. they know the
But it's
season's
not
over.
over though. Like it's not over. Like you know what I mean? Like they're right. I mean,
No, they're not. They know it's over.
look.
You know how you remember the PT test, right?
Mm-hmm.
Air Force PT test. If you stayed in shape, it's a simple test. If you got like me, where you would wait to the last 6 or 7 weeks before you test, and then you try to ramp it back up, it can be a pretty stressful test. Basically, the waist and the run were the thing that would kill most people. Myself, like I would always pass, obviously, but the waist and the run are the two things I was always worried about. You had to make it in a minimum. Like your waist had to be under like a certain inch in circumference, and then you run and push ups, everything else. So you did the waist measurement, the push ups, and the sit ups first, and then you went outside and did the run. When you walked in there and you did the waist measurement, and you need a 34 to get 20 points, the max out the points, and you get measured at 37, and you only get about 14 points, man, I don't know if my run time is going to be enough and with the push-ups and sit-ups. So then you get on the track. You're like, okay, well, you look at the scores before you leave, and it's like, all right, I got to get this run in 12 minutes in order to pass. And you go into lap 6, and you're at 10 minutes and 55 seconds when you come across and you got lap 6. So now you averaging 2.5 minutes per lap. 2+ minutes per lap. Now you got to make this last lap in a minute and 5 seconds. Yeah, it's possible to run a 400-meter lap in 65 seconds. It's not like an impossible thing, but you aren't going to do it. And you know that when you come across and they give you the time of 10:55, you know you're not making it in 65 seconds. You can try all you want, but at that point, you just kind of chalk it up like, I'm not making it. Either you faint and say you had a medical situation, or you just run for pride.
You're like, where's the vomit?
Yeah. So what the Jets are doing, they are just running for pride. Because even if they happen to string a couple of wins together, a couple of fluky wins, the weather up here in Jersey get crazy. Maybe a couple of home games they get where it's windy, the water's right there,
like
it's
beat
cold.
the Falcons or something.
Beat the Falcons because you probably can. It's gonna be cold. They're a dome team. They run the ball well, but they're not really, they're not offensively prolific. So they're not gonna outgun you. So you get a turnover here because of the weather, and you work it out. Maybe you get a win here, you still a win there, and now you're in contention. In contention to do what? To be the 7 seed and play. Who would be the 2 seed right now?
Probably Baltimore.
Baltimore, Cleveland.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, in Cleveland with Zach Wilson. No, I don't want to do that.
Nope. So then, of course, later Thanksgiving night, I mentioned it, San Francisco, Seattle, up in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle got any chance?
I think they do because Purdy's going to make it. Purdy's going to do a Purdy. Roll left, throw back right to the middle of the field. Do that trust my guy kind of throw. Throw it up for Kittle, throw it up for, Deebo Samuel. I think he'll give you one of those, what do they call it? Turnover worthy throws, turnover worthy plays, like this new stat they're tracking now. Because I saw something about Josh Allen and CJ Stroud have the same percentage of turnover worthy plays.
Yeah.
Except Josh Allen's unlucky because they actually turned into turnovers. I'm like, whatever.
Hey, Stroud threw 3 of them yesterday.
Hey, maybe the hype is getting to him,
but
you still maintain. Yeah, so I feel like San Francisco will give you a shot, and losing a safety because we saw how San Francisco starting lineup and their starting defense and their rotation is solid, but I think every defense has can be susceptible to a play or two. A guy's going to be out of position. Quarterback's going to make a good throw. DK Metcalf's a big wide receiver. You can make some stuff happen.
Well, we'll have to see if Kenny Walker is going to play. He strained his oblique yesterday. So we'll see, how that goes. Geno Smith got a little banged up yesterday, but obviously he came back to the game.
Yeah,
You
maybe
know,
that's why they didn't throw any more passes with 30 seconds left from the 33-yard line. But that's just me.
But these two teams are the most penalized teams as far as yards per game. So both of them. So one of them will find a way to give it to the other one. So,
DK, he'll get you a pass interference.
Yeah,
like someone's gonna grab him. The dude he's like a creative player. 6'3", 240, runs a 4.3.
I was leaning Seattle, but I think this falls into the category of some teams just don't match up well with other teams. And I just think that San Francisco is a bad matchup for Seattle.
Yeah. And I do think, like I said, I think the Purdy potential bad play obviously is always on the board, but the San Francisco big play
is on the board.
I'll take the San Francisco big play over the Seattle big play, even though I think the talent is comparable. The tight end position, yeah, you give the edge to San Francisco, but I think what they do from the running back position with Kenneth Walker III, what they can do in the pass game with their combination, because Deebo Samuel is just a smaller, he's a stocky big wide receiver that can do everything. I think DK Metcalf's ability to just be a matchup nightmare is the equivalent of that.
Yeah, and then of course, I haven't said this word in a few weeks, so let me go ahead and say it. Down in the compressor, the Saints are coming through. We'll have to see if Derek Carr is going to play. He's still in the concussion protocol, so we'll see where we go from there. But I expect them to play. They had their bye week and everything, so I expect them to be back. But I'm still picking the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Falcons just because they're my team. And I can't pick New Orleans to win a game ever.
So of course Atlanta's going to have to run the ball because the Saints defense.
They don't have to run the ball.
They do have to run the ball against the Saints.
Against
the Saints, they have to run the ball because the Saints are third in opponent completion percentage, and you already starting Ritter, and they're not going to open the playbook. So, so I expect this to be a low-scoring game. I think Atlanta will pull it out, but. If Jameis plays, all 13. Bets are off. He might throw 4 picks himself.
Man, I love Jameis. Jameis should have been a Jet. That should have been a call they made. They should have made that call.
They should have called Josh Dobbs.
I mean, it's looking like that too.
But then the shock of the week for me, Cincinnati favored by 1 point. Over those hapless Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are going to win, right?
They got to win. You can't pick against Tomlin. Like, the offense, what I did see is, because I watched that game too, because that one's on Paramount.
And they run the ball well.
They don't play call well.
Okay.
They'll run it on first down. And Najee Harris, another guy, his name
Jalen Warren.
They're getting you, every couple of drives, there was a few plays where they were getting you 7 to 8 yards on first down. So now 2nd and 2, they call one play. They called a play, and I'm going to assume that the wide receivers all thought it was a different play. It was, I think they had 2 wide receivers to the left. They pre-snap motion Warren out to the left flat. Pickett throws the ball off the snap, gets it, throws the ball. There's 3 defensive backs there to make the tackle. And all the Pittsburgh wide receivers are like, all looking back like, what's going on? And I'm like, that play had no shot, as if it was not the correct read on the play. Literally, none of them got blocked. They didn't even attack Warren. All 3 of them just ran to him. You couldn't even juke. All 3 dudes just ran right at him, and it was like,
yo,
pushed him right out of bounds.
Watching this game right now,
kind of stuff that happens is like, I think he just doesn't. I don't think he has a command of the offense, and then he doesn't make plays when they do call plays for him to take that shot. He just doesn't make the play.
Watching this game right now, I feel like Pusha T from Mr. Me Too. Because I was just assuming y'all keep the coke moving, but I got one question. Fuck y'all been doing? That's how I feel watching Philly right now. 3rd and 7, and Kansas City.
Draw.
Yeah, but you gotta. I don't know. Like the defenders were there. They didn't move. They were right there.
Kelsey. That's a good call. Kelsey just got beat. Kelsey doesn't, and he knows it. Kelsey doesn't get beat. That's the first down because it's man coverage. Everyone's back's turned.
There were 3 Chiefs. He can't block all 3 of them.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't. If Kelsey makes the block, Jalen Hurts doesn't have to stutter step. He just goes. So that
maybe that's what happens.
The other dude doesn't come around the edge. But I think Mulata misses block too.
Maybe that's what happens when your quarterback is 2nd in the league in interceptions. You got to do that. But
Mulata and Kelsey both missed blocks on that. I like that play call if it's blocked well.
All right. Well, here's the rematch. Jags, Texans. Who you got?
Taking Houston because they're at home. You sent me the text saying Trevor Lawrence finally has 10 touchdowns.
That's right.
On this season.
That's right. Double digits, baby. Just like Dabo said, take the stock.
I like Trevor. I just think that I think Houston's playing like a team that believes. I think they're playing like Detroit. Mm-hmm. I think they're playing like the 49ers of last year, where they just we got something here. And like I said, just my years in youth football, even with the kids, it's a different mindset when the backup comes in. The backup comes in, they want to get him a touchdown, and the kids go crazy on the sideline. You could just tell, they feel like a connection to each other. Mm-hmm. You can see that in certain teams. And I think Houston's one of those teams where he's like, listen, I'm just going to run this route. CJ's going to give me the ball. Will Anderson's like, listen, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to beat this block, cause, incompletion. So we get the ball back so we can take the ball down and get our field goal, because I know CJ gets the ball back. We're going to get a field goal. We're going to win the game. Other teams that you don't really get that. I don't think you got that a lot of years with Daniel Jones. I don't think the Giants players really felt like, oh, if we get the ball back, we got a shot. That's why you see those guys ripping at the ball, trying to create turnovers, because it's we got to make it easy. Versus Kansas City is we got to get the ball back. We're down 6. We get this stop, get the ball back. Yeah, they might go for interception, but listen, if Patrick gets the ball at the 10, he'll get 90 yards. I believe they believe that. I think Houston's kind of getting that kind of belief too.
Pacheco out here looking like he just taking it easy on the elliptical and getting 8 yards a pop. But I like Houston as well. I think Jacksonville's chance to win is going to be to force turnovers. They're one of the league leaders in forcing turnovers. So Stroud, like I say, he threw 3 interceptions yesterday, but I don't think he's going to play like that back to back. So I'm gonna go with Houston as well. Shout out to Mr. Logical's pops. You know what I'm saying? Because the Colts are going to play Tampa, and his pops team could do the Falcons a favor and beat on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm picking the Colts to do so.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I like Baker Mayfield. I like his moxie. I like his swagger. I just think that Tampa Bay, I think they stole a couple of wins. Mm-hmm. That kind of ease their, the controversy they're around them. But
Todd Bowles still look like he don't know what's going on half the time.
Maybe that's just his Eli face. He's probably a terrible person to play poker with, because I don't know what he's thinking.
But Tampa just doesn't have enough balance for me. Of course, Mike Evans will probably get a touchdown, but that's usually a guarantee. But outside of that,
too big not to throw him the ball.
Then the game that I have no idea what to do with, so I'm just going to tell you like this: when you need to get well, you play Washington. Washington makes you feel real good about yourself. And then the next week, reality kicks in. So for some strange reason, I'm taking the Patriots over the Giants.
I still haven't made a choice yet. It's gonna be because I haven't heard officially if Mac Jones is gonna start. I don't see why he would. He's kind of in that same. He's in the space where Zach Wilson was to start off the year, but I think he's on a team that's going to act on it. Like, because Mac Jones this year is proven that his future is not in New England.
Well, the
last
that I read earlier before we came on, they haven't named a starter yet, but Mac Jones is getting the first team reps so far this week. So we'll see.
Because I don't think Bailey Zappi is like a real better option.
No, but I mean, you're 2-8, so why not? Like, it doesn't. I mean, it's not like y'all gonna go on a 4-game winning streak, get to 6-8, and we're like, oh, hey, watch out for the Patriots for that wild card. They're on a roll. So why not?
Because they got a little bit of pride.
Mac Jones ain't going to be there next year. They were, there were the rumors that they were trying to get rid of him before the draft.
That's what I'm saying. Like so why not? They're
why
in
not?
that. Yeah.
Because like normally you would say normally you would say play him so that other teams can see him, but that's the last thing you want to do with Mac Jones right now.
What you're gonna get out of Mac Jones, and I think the best thing for Mac Jones to do
Chad Pennington
now is to. Then I think they're gonna start Bailey Zappi.
I hope so.
I think that makes the most sense. I think just
Hilltoppers, baby, Hilltoppers.
Holding it tight to the vest just because it's Bill Belichick.
And then, from there, I'm wondering if the Panthers can get their second win. Going up against Tennessee, who Will Levis came in, he torched the Falcons, and then ever since then, a whole lot of mid. I think the Titans will win just because I think Carolina is that bad. That's just the way I got to look at it. Carolina's that bad, and they're going to help the Bears become probably the first team in NFL history to have the number 1 and 2 picks in the draft.
It's going to be chaos. The Bears are going to set themselves up for a great offseason.
And still come out and go 6-11 next year.
They can have Tyson Bangert, or how you say his name? Bagent. I think they can start him next year. I think they can move probably I think somebody will give you a first round pick for Justin Fields.
A first?
I think so.
Wow.
Because they're going to look at it like Matt Eberflus couldn't get it done.
But who would that team be? I know you. A lot of people have thrown Atlanta.
I've mentioned Atlanta, but Atlanta doesn't make moves. I think potentially it could make sense because Atlanta's first round pick is going to be about. They still have the potential to win NFC South, so their pick is going to be somewhere between like 18 and 22. Because right now I think they're only like a couple of games under, but they could, because the NFC South is so bad. If they could end up winning the NFC South. And like I said, Arthur Smith he's not an incompetent coach. He'll put you in a position to win, but you got to do everything right.
If Justin Fields ends up being traded this offseason, could it be the Raiders, or is it that albatross known as Garoppolo in the way?
Nah, they wouldn't be the Raiders. I think the Raiders will ride with the young rookie that they have. I think they'll probably try to get other positions filled, or maybe move Devontae Adams and start over.
Mm-hmm.
Because bringing in Justin Fields, you're just basically, even if I'm Justin Fields' agent, like you're just putting Justin Fields in another Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not making that deal. I think Atlanta would make sense because the way they run the ball in Atlanta, having a quarterback that's mobile. I know Ritter's mobile, but he's not a runner. It's a difference. He's like a cross-country runner versus a sprinter. He ran like a 4.7, 40, 4.6. So he ran a good 40. It's just that he's not agile. Like he doesn't roll and then make the move and he doesn't have that
wiggle
that Justin Fields does. I don't know what the Rams would do with just because they want to throw the ball a lot. They don't really run it that efficiently. So they need a passer. They need a Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford for at least from what I've seen from their offense. They need someone who's a pocket passer, play action, and gets the ball out.
Could it be the Cardinals?
Cardinals are going to probably be in position to get one of these top quarterbacks out of the draft.
But do you want them? What like you know what I mean? Like, do you want that or do you want Justin Fields?
Now you're going to be getting a bigger version of Kyler Murray if you get Justin Fields. So you're going to be getting what you already dealt with that didn't work. He's just bigger. Like there's no.
Well, I don't even know if it didn't work though. He just got hurt. They made the playoffs
1 year, but but
he got hurt the next year.
When you had to put in the clause that dog, you got to study. You already
no
fired
video games.
You fired a coach. It's like I don't know what else.
No Mortal Kombat 1 for you.
Yeah, it's like they need a whole new shebang out there, and I think with the coach that they just hired, I think they'll go with the situation. Did he get his foot down? Nope. Either one.
So now that we're looking at the the Cardinals, see, and I got one question. Fuck y'all been doing. Watch this next one. We got the Cardinals and the Rams. In a toss-up game. Cooper Kupp hurt his ankle yesterday. So we'll see if he plays or not. I'm leaning Arizona. But the only question is does Arizona want to win?
When do GMs and presidents and owners start having we want draft pick compensation kind of like when does that start? Does this start in November?
Yeah, I think so. Because this is week 13 or week 12. You know what I mean? So teams have already played 11 games max, so why not? Like, there's 6 games left. So, go 1-5 down the stretch, whatever. Maybe 2-4 can get you a top 5 pick.
But depending
on where you are.
There's a 6-game. Most teams right now, granted, I know it's unlikely because the NFL is not college.
Well, that's why I was confused on why they let Kyler Murray play to begin with.
A 6-game win streak probably gets you in the playoffs.
Probably not the Cardinals.
With 6 weeks out, get you who's like what do they record? Like probably you got some 2-8 teams, you got some 3-8 teams right now.
The Cardinals right now are 2-9, so 6 wins ain't doing nothing for them.
Kadarius Toney out here thinking it's February all over again.
I know, but yeah, like
you had one moment.
Yeah, so right now, you got Carolina at 1-9.
Okay.
Cardinals are at 2-9.
Okay.
Jets are at 2-8. Titans are at 3-7.
The Jets or the New England? The Jets.
I'm sorry, New England. I'm sorry, New England.
Okay,
my bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I said the Jets.
So
New England.
Arizona has 2 wins. New England has 2 wins. Carolina has 1.
Yeah, the Bears are 3-8.
The Bears got 3.
The Giants are 3-8.
The Giants got 3.
Like I said, Tennessee is 3-7. And then you get into your 4-win teams. Who the 4-win teams might be. So, like, the Chargers aren't going to probably try to lose that much to get a high draft pick, at 4-6. You got...
See, the Chargers, that's what I mean. So, the Chargers at 4-6, they played 10 games. They have 7 games left.
Mm-hmm.
They go 5-2 over their next 7. That's 9-8. That's a playoff. That's a playoff round. So with 7 games left, I'm an owner. I'm like, all right, let's see what we can make happen. With 1 win, I'm out there. I'm like, yo, play the best football you can play. I don't expect to win, which is it feels so odd because someone's gonna get fired. You can't run it back. You can't go 2-15 and just run it.
All right, so let's do it. Like this is always one of our staples. So like,
okay.
Like even though the Giants are bad, I don't think Dayball is going to get fired.
Dayball's good because of the neck and the ACL
and the playoff run last year.
Coach of the year.
Rivera's gone.
Rivera's gone.
You know, Eberflus is gone.
Ooh, who knows though?
Unless
who
they
hired
go.
him? Did this current regime hire him?
No.
Oh yeah, then he's gone.
Let's see. Frank Reich's good. I think Bowles might have done enough to get an extra year, but I'm not sure.
Nah, I think Bowles is gone.
If it were up to me, Arthur Smith would be gone. But I don't know.
I don't know because Atlanta is going to probably finish the year 8-9.
Okay, if the Saints don't make the playoffs, is Allen gone?
Yes,
because there were rumors that he was going to be gone last year. You know, but
because the division's so weak.
Yeah, they're 5-5 right now. They got a game up on Atlanta and Tampa. They play this weekend, obviously,
and they're used to like recent success with Sean Payton.
Whereas
Atlanta's recent mediocrity is gonna save Arthur Smith's job because they're used to it.
Does McVay take his ball and go home?
Depends on where they end up.
Because they're 4-6 right now.
If they end up in the Drake May region of the sweepstakes, I think that's the prototypical quarterback that he can put right. He looks a lot like Jared Goff, same kind of body type, tall, slender, not overly athletic, just that, just a good, smart pocket passer.
I don't know who started this Belichick to Washington stuff, but
is Washington last week I heard it was Belichick to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I heard Washington. But back to the same question that I've asked you like 4 times. Is Mo Salah safe?
Salah and
Robert Salah. I'm thinking about soccer, Liverpool.
Yeah, it was
he haunts my nightmares. But Robert Salah, is he safe? Or should he get to 7 wins just to be safe?
Let me think.
We've been back and forth on this.
What do you think? Well, okay,
I think he's safe.
What would make him safe?
I don't think he's safe. I mean, they lost Aaron Rodgers.
They lost Aaron Rodgers.
So your season was already over like before it started. So it'd be one thing if they were say 4-2, and then Aaron Rodgers got hurt. You know what I mean? It was the very first game of the season. Yeah, like you know what I mean.
Plays in.
So for the fact that they won that game. You know what I mean? So for me, I think he gets a year.
I think Zach Wilson's play being so bad. Like it's some stat like come on, Mahomes. He is since he came into the league, the worst quarterback in the league for every major statistical category. He is of I think it's something like 37 to 39 qualified quarterbacks or something. I saw one stat. The first things first, put a lot of these stats up. And he's like 33rd or 34th or 36th or 37th in a lot of these stats over the last couple of seasons of qualified quarterbacks that started.
All right. So Vrabel's probably gone.
I don't know.
See, we do this every time. Like 1 week you'd be like, Vrabel's gone. And I'm like, no, I think he's good. Then the next week I'd be like, Vrabel's gone. And you're like, no.
Because I think he has
I don't think he should be gone.
I think he can hang his hat on. You guys signed Ryan Tannehill when he was mediocre, gave him a superstar deal. You drafted Malik Willis after you gave a mediocre quarterback a superstar deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you drafted another rookie that fits the prototype.
But they have a new GM too, don't they?
They got the GM from San Francisco.
Yeah. So that's not his guy. Right.
It's not his guy.
Right.
So that could be tough.
All right.
Because if I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm like, listen, I'd walk into the meeting. If you're allowed to honestly speak in these meetings, I've never been in one. I can only imagine that you can't. But if you're like, listen, man, you gave me Ryan Tannehill, and we knew he had limitations. I gave us the number 1 seed. He threw the game away. You drafted Malik Willis, who can't throw the football. He is not an NFL quarterback. I didn't want him. I didn't need him. You drafted him. and then you got Will Levis, and now I got to play him, and he had a hot game, and now he's mediocre, and it's like it's nothing I could do because I can't work with 3 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
so he's gone. He's gone.
And then of course,
I think they need a new voice.
And then of course, unless they win out, and by win out, I mean like go to the Super Bowl, Brandon Staley's probably not coming back either.
I can't see why he would come back. I don't know what you saw as a. If you're in that organization, you're evaluating your head coach. Without 11 wins, 11, not even like barely you go on a hot streak. I'm talking about just like Kansas City looks like a team that's going to win 11 or 12 games every week. Every week they look like a team. Philly looks like a team that's going to get you 11 or 12 wins. San Francisco looks like a team that's going to get you 11 or 12 wins. There's going to be teams that sneak in to get you to 10. Like we got a team like Pittsburgh is going to get you 10.
Like Denver.
Denver might get you 10 wins. Pittsburgh probably will get you 10 wins. Cleveland has 7 wins right now. Cleveland does not look like a team that's going to get you 11 or 12 wins. They don't look like they have
you got
talent.
the number 1 defense in the league.
You have defensive talent.
The
Chargers have the offensive firepower and the defensive
talent. Yeah.
To get me, like, I'm at 12. I should be, as a fan, I should be booking playoff tickets every September with that roster that they have.
Yeah, with that little Filipino lady up in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? But all right, so we both like the Broncos over the Browns.
Correct.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
We're both going to be wrong.
I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we both got the Chiefs over the Raiders.
Yes.
But then you get into the interesting games.
Oh, what we got? What you got to say? What are you calling interesting?
Well, what I'm seeing tonight in all the turmoil, can Buffalo give Philly a fight?
No.
Can they give them a fight?
No.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think Philly wins, but I think Buffalo's going to give them a run. And then, of course, we talked about the Chargers, right? George Costanza style. Whatever you think, just go opposite. So for some strange reason, I'm going to take the Chargers over the Ravens.
I'm going to take Baltimore.
Because you're being logical.
Because I'm being logical. I think Baltimore 13-13, 3rd and 1 will just run it up the middle. Whereas if they just did the brotherly shove for the first time.
So you could say that
I think
Philly
the
made it
Chargers
to the red zone swiftly.
I think Chargers 13-13, 3rd and 1. They'll do some play action rollout and try to throw it deep.
Get a sack.
Simple.
Mark Andrews, unfortunately, has the Tony Pollard injury. So he's probably out for the season. And
I saw someone that say it's potential that he can play. I don't know.
Really? I saw
cracked
fibula. Yeah. I saw cracked fibula and ankle ligament, which I think was the same thing Pollard had. So, which would be out for the season if that's what it is. And with that, unfortunately, I think goes Baltimore Super Bowl chances.
I think Baltimore's Super Bowl chances were gone a long time ago. I don't know why everyone picked the Super Bowl pick. I never felt like Baltimore was a Super Bowl.
No, yeah.
I don't think because in order to be a Super Bowl contender in my eyes,
they're too hot and cold.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent at what's hard to defend.
Odell out here,
or it's hard to block.
Odell getting fined damn near $11,000 for giving the peace sign.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I know. And then finally,
stupid penalty.
And then finally, Monday night, I got the Vikings over the Bears.
I got that too. I think the Pastronaut, I think people love them. I was looking last night watching the game. I know I picked Denver, and I think you picked Denver as well. But I picked
Minnesota.
I was like, Minnesota has an opportunity to be 7-4 after starting 0-3. I'm like,
they were running the ball on Denver.
You got to give Kevin O'Connell his shot because they didn't give him any love for Coach of the Year last year. They love Brian Dable.
Right.
got no love. 13-4, first-time head coach Kirk Cousins, with the narrative surrounding Kirk Cousins about his inability to win big games. And they won big games. They had big moments. The game against Buffalo with the 4th and 18 conversion. So I just don't understand what they were looking at. I don't know why 9 and 18 that the quarterback. I mean, yes, he was a top 10 quarterback last year.
And we got Jalen Hurts in the end zone, ladies and gentlemen. We are an extra point away from a one score or a 3-point game. And of course, Mr. Logical would love it because it was the quarterback draw. But rivalry week is here. Unfortunately, I feel a little somber because my quarterback, Jordan Travis, college career is over.
Would he break ankle or leg?
I think it was leg. I haven't seen the actual injury yet, but I saw the injury when it happened live. Whew. Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those. Don't send it to Mr. Logical specials.
Yeah, I watched it. I saw that kind of tackle. I remember hearing some reverberations that they were thinking about, because that's how Pollard got injured. Trying to outlaw that tackle, but it's like, how can you how can you penalize? It's a very unfortunate, but it's like, I got to pull a guy to the ground. I grab him.
I can't let him score. I
can't let his feet keep going. I literally have to pull him to the ground.
Right. But unfortunately, on the other side, as much as I hate the Gators, Graham Mertz broke his collarbone. So this is a battle of backup quarterbacks in the swamp Saturday night.
Florida State ruined Florida State's chances in the playoffs.
That was the question I was going to ask. Here we go. Let's have the conversation. I was going to ask that question. Is this a Kenyon Martin situation where they're going to get penalized even if they finish undefeated? Are they going to get penalized?
TCU getting mollywopped in the championship game this past season is going to be the narrative that people pump out there as to why you need to make sure you have the quote unquote best team.
And you know what I would say to that? I would say, how many of y'all picked Cardale Jones to win the national title?
But when did he start his run though? Was it right before the playoffs?
It was the game before the playoffs. It was the Big Ten title game.
And then
they beat Wisconsin 59-0.
That's why.
And then they jumped TCU in Baylor. We always talk about.
Well, that always helps that you
that you're dominant.
Or Ohio State, you're dominant,
right.
You can fill the stadium.
Well, the good news is, like I said, I think that Florida State can still get through Florida. The question is can they beat Louisville? Now, the other question is, what happens if Louisville loses to Kentucky this weekend, and now they're not in the top 10 for that Florida State game? Is that going to be something that? But I would like to think that an undefeated Power 5 team is going to get in, especially when there's a possibility that they could be the only. Well, I won't say that. There will probably be there's a chance that there could be one other undefeated team. So you got Ohio State and Michigan this weekend. So somebody's going to take a loss.
Got to lose, yeah.
Yeah, and then the winner will play everybody's favorite team, Iowa, for the Big Ten championship. And Fox gets mad at that every year. But so you got that. If Alabama knocks off Georgia, your SEC champion is not undefeated. Your Big 12 champion is not undefeated, even if it's Texas. If Oregon goes into the Pac-12 championship game and beats Washington like everybody says, there's no undefeated Pac-12 champion. So you would literally be down.
It helps that but the Oregon-Washington game will help you eliminate Washington.
Potentially.
I had that post earlier about if who ended undefeated, Georgia. No, not Georgia, because Georgia.
It was Florida. It was Michigan. And was it Florida State?
Michigan, Florida State, and somebody else ended undefeated. Washington.
Yeah, it would have been Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Michigan, Florida State, Washington. They all end undefeated. Who
And
gets
then,
the fourth
yeah,
slot? It
you
was
got
like
Texas,
Texas,
Georgia,
Alabama,
Alabama, yeah, Ohio State.
Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so.
So I personally think it would be Texas because all the limp facts you have, all the tiebreakers and everything you have, you got to go with the head-to-head matchup first before all the other math. All the other math. I know the math
I
exists.
know we just had this
I know the
conversation a
strength
couple
of
of weeks
schedule
ago. I was all
exists.
about the head of
I know all that exists, and I
right.
know common opponent in the NFL and in the college basketball and college football. Understand all of that factors into the tiebreaker, but that should only matter if you don't have a head-to-head. If you have a head-to-head, that's where it stops. That's where it should stop. I don't know if it's written that way, but that's where
No,
it
it's not
should
written
stop.
anyway. It's not written anyway. The committee just decides what they want to do.
Yeah, but the tiebreakers are written.
Yeah,
Like,
it's written,
yeah,
but what I'm saying is there's no rule that you have to honor it because their job is to pick the 4 best teams, not pick the team that beat this other team.
but you would use other factors of like the breakdown. Like you would use strength of schedule, you would use strength of opponents, you would use common opponents, you would use all these other factors
Mm-hmm.
outside of the team.
And that's the best part about it
If you're
because
going to
Texas and
do
Alabama
any of
don't
that,
have any common opponents.
you would have to go with but like I said, I don't know if it's written, and I think that's the best part about having this conversation because I don't know it's written. You would have, in my opinion, you would have to go with the original simple matchup because in the NFL, the number one seed, if Kansas City and Miami both like okay, if we go who play each other, that's going to be tops of the AFC. So because right now Kansas City is 7-3, Baltimore 7-2. They're going to either be 7-3, 8-3 after this game. If you got Baltimore, who beat Kansas City?
They lost to Detroit on
Detroit
opening night, and
and
they lost to
Denver.
Denver. Uh-huh.
Okay, so say it came down to the division for the AFC West, and their records were tied, but Denver had to win 2 wins over Kansas City, whatever it is.
Yeah, Denver
That
would
would
get.
be the factor. They would get
Mm-hmm.
it because they have the head-to-head matchup wins. Like that's the first thing you would look at.
But that's the
So
problem. That's written down. The college football has a committee that sits around the room, just like we talked about when you go up for senior and all that. The board gets together and everybody tries to like make their EPR reflect a certain way. But then they go, well, no, we care about education this year. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's how this was. Texas went out there and said, yo, give us a home and home with Alabama. You know, like Texas and Alabama agreed to a home and home. They split it. Alabama won last year. Texas won this year. So as a Texas fan, you're like, we in there. You know what I'm saying?
did what we are supposed to do.
They lose to Oklahoma, you know, and then one loss. Alabama has one loss. So yes, in a perfect world, Texas would be ahead of them. The problem is that it's dumb because you're going to say that Alabama's loss was to a top 5 or top 6 Texas team, which is the Texas team we're talking about.
But you won't give them credit for it.
Right. Oklahoma was the team that beat Texas, who's, you know, down in the rankings now, you know, and then think about it. Alabama would also have the win against Georgia. You know, they would have the win against LSU. They would have a win
But that
against.
has nothing
I know,
to do with
but just
the
hold on.
fact that they
It's about the
played
rest. I
Texas.
know.
The resume is
I don't even know
irrelevant.
how
It's
we
not
ended
beating you
up
straight
here.
up.
I don't even know how we ended up here because
I think
like 3 weeks ago I made this same exact argument.
because when I see it kind of play out, and I'm hearing because that's the thing, because I've been reading other people's rationale. Because my thing is like this: like if I tell you, "Hey man, ribeye is my favorite cut of steak," I can't be like, "Oh, that's the best cut, and no other cut matters." I can just say, "Hey, it's my favorite cut. I like the fat, I like the marbling, I like the bone, whatever." So I've been reading people, like I've seen that question posted because I presented to you in our group. And everyone's like, oh, you really think Texas is going to get in over Alabama? As if it's a foregone conclusion, as if it's not a relevant conversation. So me being a logical thinker, that sparked it. Because before that conversation wasn't around because everyone, I think they all kind of assumed that these other teams would start losing. I think they assumed that the Pac-12 teams would just start losing like these silly games. Like you said, the Pac-12 eats themselves in every single year. I think 4 weeks ago, early October, Oregon will lose and Washington will lose this game. Michael Penix Jr. isn't that good. Bo Nix was down here in Auburn. He didn't do anything. You know, it's like I think people were kind of, that was the narrative. But now that it's starting to get on the board, like, yo, it literally will be a situation where Texas could finish ahead of Alabama and Alabama has a win over Georgia. And you would have to honor the Texas win over Alabama because if Alabama beats Georgia by default in this argument, like we'll go through those other rivalry things, that means that Texas is better than a team that beat Georgia. I know it's like
here's my question. Here's my question. Let's just say somehow through all these crazy scenarios, Oklahoma makes it to the Big 12 title game against Texas and Texas wins. Do we go, they evened out their loss and now they have that argument over Alabama and you can't use the Oklahoma loss?
My argument for Texas is the win.
It's the head-to-head.
Strictly the win, the head-to-head over Alabama.
And they also,
you would not do this to any other team.
And they're also in that Florida State situation where they lost their starting running back for the season.
It's Texas. They played 20 defensive players. They play like 8 defensive linemen. They're a deep enough team. It's not like they're Florida Atlantic and like they only have like their starting lineup. They have.
All right, well, here we go.
Texas.
Here we go. Big 12. So Oklahoma can make the Big 12 championship game, and it doesn't even matter if they win or lose this weekend somehow. We'll get to that. So Texas, in with a win. They beat Texas Tech on Friday. They're in the Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma State, they beat BYU on Saturday. They're in. And if Texas wins, that's your matchup. Oklahoma State against Texas. If Oklahoma beats TCU on Friday, and then Texas wins and Oklahoma State loses, then we get our Oklahoma-Texas rematch. If Kansas State beats Iowa State on Saturday and Texas wins, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State lose, then we get Kansas State against Texas. Now, you ready?
I'm ready.
If Texas Tech beats Texas on Friday, nobody can clinch on Friday. So even if Oklahoma wins on Friday, doesn't even matter. So on Saturday, Texas can still get in if 2 of Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State lose. So
that's too much. Texas just win.
If Texas loses on Friday and 2 or 3 2-loss teams win, so those same 3 teams, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, there would be 3 or 4 teams tied for a berth in the Big 12 title game. So multiple scenarios exist in this circumstance. And then it says, this, you'll love this, updated scenarios will be released by the Big 12 following the conclusion of Friday's games. So maybe none of this matters, but Friday if Texas loses, then you open Pandora's box and we get, so what I was reading, I think there was something like 100, like almost 100 different scenarios that could play out. So we'll see how that goes, depending on who wins and who loses. So we'll get to that.
But I bet you a head-to-head matchup is going to factor in.
I know, right? If in the ACC, we are locked in to Florida State, Louisville. You know, in the Big Ten, Iowa has won the West, and they will await the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, which we'll get to in a second. In the Pac-12, Washington has secured a berth. If Oregon wins the Civil War, which they don't call it that anymore, but I still do, if Oregon wins the Civil War, they're in. If they lose, Arizona just has to do something they haven't done since 2011. They have to go to Tempe and beat the Sun Devils. And if Arizona does that, they're in. But obviously, if they were to lose, Oregon were to lose, then Oregon still gets in. In the SEC, we're locked in. Alabama, Georgia. In the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, we are down to 3. Tulane, UTSA, and SMU. So, of course, this matters because of the New Year's 6. UTSA has 3 losses. So even if they win these scenarios, they're probably not going to get the New Year's 6 berth. But Tulane has an out-of-conference loss to Ole Miss. They host UTSA this weekend. If UTSA wins and SMU wins against Navy, then you got UTSA and SMU in the AAC title game. If Tulane beats UTSA and SMU wins, you get Tulane versus SMU.
Told you this man loves college football, people.
If Tulane beats UTSA and Navy beats SMU, we're right back to where we started, with UTSA and Tulane in a rematch. In the Mountain West, UNLV, for all intents and purposes, have basically clinched a spot, but if UNLV loses on Saturday to San Jose State and Air Force beats Boise, we'll have a 3-way tie with UNLV, San Jose State, and Air Force. They're all 1-1 against each other. So you're going to get to the computers. If UNLV loses and Boise beats Air Force, then you have Boise, San Jose State, and UNLV. And you have the computer matches. So, Boise didn't play UNLV, so then you get to the computers, which will probably favor UNLV. In the MAC, we are locked in. Toledo against Miami of Ohio. In Conference USA, we are locked. Liberty, Lynchburg, Virginia, against New Mexico State because Jacksonville State is not eligible because they are under the James Madison rule. So they play. So the thing is, they're 6-1 in conference, and they play New Mexico State this weekend. That result doesn't matter. So even if Jacksonville State wins, New Mexico State's still going to the conference title game. And then finally, in the Sun Belt, James Madison not eligible. So Troy has clinched the West. In the East, if Coastal Carolina wins, they're in. But wait, Grayson McCall might not play, so keep your eye on that. If they lose this weekend to James Madison, then Appalachian State is in with a win over Georgia Southern. If they both lose, Old Dominion can beat Georgia State, force a 3-way tie, which would put Coastal Carolina back in the title game. So there you go. There's your scenarios for this week.
Something crazy is going to play out.
I hope so.
I don't think the craziest ones are going to play out. I do feel like Texas being one of these quote-unquote blue blood schools, I think they're going to get the leg up on Bama. And it's not a knock on Bama. It's not like I don't think they deserve a shot.
Ooh, he didn't get there. Did he? He might have got there. He got there. Pacheco, Millville, 4th and 1.
Georgia stand up. But
So but hey, it's time, Mr. Logical. Do you have the guts to pick the Buckeyes in the big house?
No, not so much. Nah. Like I said, you are enamored with college football. I mean, you do the research, you're behind the scenes, you're in the fields, like digging up the dirt and all the information. I look at it in a very simplistic kind of way. I think Michigan's ability to run the ball. Yeah, you got there. Run the ball, control
Taylor
it.
Swift is about to be sad.
The older quarterback versus the slow start that Ohio State gets off to. This might be the year where, it could be tough, or it could be a 10 to 13 point victory for Michigan. I think this is their year. I think Michigan versus everybody is a real galvanizing piece. Like whatever they feel about Coach Harbaugh, he has brought them out of the depths.
I wonder if this is the game that not having Harbaugh on the sideline is going to hurt them. Roman Wilson got hurt against Maryland, their best receiver. They were already down a tackle last week and lost another tackle in that Maryland game. Michigan, this is their first time favorite over Ohio State since 2018. They haven't beat Ohio State when they've been the favorite in the game since 2011. I'm going to go with Michigan too. I want to pick Ohio State.
2 red zone turnovers for Kansas City.
But I just can't. Smart. I just can't. I'm going with Michigan, not only because I chose them to win the national title, but, I just think that Ohio State, they can't start
slow with a team that runs the ball well, because they're going to have the ball 7 to 8 minutes on their first drive. You go 3 and out and they get it back for 4 or 5 more minutes.
Now, Ohio State's going to just have to stop the run and force J.J. McCarthy to beat them. Travion Henderson, Ohio State's running back, he's been out here looking like Adrian Peterson Jr. lately. So if Ohio State does have a chance in this game, it all lies in his feet. So, but I'm going with Michigan. We'll see how that goes. I'm going with Florida State over Florida. Tate Rodemaker, he came in last year on the road against Louisville, down 2 scores and got us the win. Came in the other day down 13-3, got the win. So Florida starting Max Brown for the first time. So, I think I'm going to go. It's going to be narrow, very, very narrow, because it's a rivalry game. It's at the Swamp. Florida needs this win to go to a bowl game. So they're going to give it their best shot. But I just think Florida State's defense will answer the call. Upset alert.
What you got?
Mr. Logical will not appreciate this. But, Virginia, the Wahoos, I think they got a chance to beat Virginia Tech this weekend. So we'll see.
In Blacksburg or Charlottesville?
I think it's in Charlottesville. It's in Charlottesville.
It don't matter. Hokies all day.
It is in the spot. Tech. It is in
My
the spot.
My pops is a UVA fan, so I'm going to go with Virginia Tech. I like to agree with him, but sometimes I like to argue with him too.
See, I'm glad you kept talking right there because I was about to say something crazy. But I'm going with Air Force in a role reversal. Last week I picked UNLV over Air Force. This week I'm taking Air Force over Boise. And unfortunately, of course, Air Force, has lost, their last 3 games. So, including a stinker to Hawaii. As far as the actual upsets that I'm picking, saying UTSA, give me the Roadrunners over Tulane. And then Pitt over Duke. There ain't much out there this week, folks. I don't think Texas is going to beat Texas again. I don't think that, Iowa State's going to beat Kansas State.
You don't think Arkansas beats Missouri?
No, I don't think Arkansas beats Missouri.
Missouri looks good. I like them. I kind of wish they would have beaten Georgia, not just because I don't like Georgia, but I think it would have been like a real interesting conversation about one-loss teams in the SEC.
I think it will be close, though, because Arkansas came out and announced that Coach Sam Pittman is coming back next year. That was a surprise to a lot of people. But one coach that will not make it back next year, wears this here color, Dino Babers, is out at Syracuse, 20-45 ACC record, including 1-9 in 2021. That'll do it.
That'll get you fired.
But here's another question for you, Mr. Logical, before we get back to some more games. Did Chip Kelly? So I watched. I don't know if you remember this movie called Two Can Play That Game. Morris Chestnut, Vivica Fox. They talked about the transference of negative energy. So when somebody's feeling a certain way, you give them the energy and get it off of you. Did Chip Kelly reverse the fortune and put Lincoln Riley on the hot seat?
Nah, because USC doesn't want to look like a fool again. They keep reaching for these coaches because if you think about it, I think Lincoln Riley's record and who was the previous guy?
They had Clay Helton.
Clay Helton. I think their records are pretty similar. No BCS bowls. I think because they are LA. They don't feel that UCLA is LA. USC
Yeah,
feel like they're
UCLA is the
LA.
Clippers.
We are the quintessential. We're the tip of the spear in this city. And I think they want to get it right. And I don't know if they want Lincoln Riley to feel like he is on a hot seat because NFL teams out here with these Bitcoin guys buying up teams, throwing these crazy checks at coaches. You want your coach to feel as secure as possible in your college facility. You don't want him to think anything is afoot. So, yeah, I think he's good to go. I think Chip Kelly, like I said, personally, unless you plan on going young, because either you're going to go young or go experienced.
Well, candidate
you can't
that I've
go
heard.
Unknown potential because everyone needs it so fast. This microwave society we're in, you need 2-year turnaround. If we're talking about if Dion goes friggin' 5-6 next year or 5-7 next year, he might be on the seat because they like his personality and I know that, but it's like we need results.
Well, I've been hearing Ryan Grubb for UCLA if they were to get rid of Chip Kelly. He's the offensive coordinator at Washington, who has followed Coach Caleb DeBoer around a couple of schools, so he's got some experience as far as running the DeBoer offense that has been proven to be successful. So, but we'll see. I don't know if the move is imminent as far as Chip Kelly getting out of there. They play against Cal this weekend. They're a 10-point favorite. So, we'll see if they can finish that off, get to 8-4. You got to factor in quarterback injuries that they've had this year, playing Dante Moore most of the year, true freshman and everything. So, you got to give Chip a little leeway for that. But then you just have to ask yourself the question, do I believe Chip Kelly can guide me through the Big Ten? Right? Like, you're going in there next year. You already got USC. You got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, so on and so forth.
If you had to think about it realistically, like logically speaking here, have we seen a rise of a new program in the last 10 years? Like another program, not just like a hot, a hot minute, but like a real rise of a program that was down in the dumps. You've had good programs that went south for a little bit and they came back. Mississippi State hasn't risen. Missouri's getting better, but it's not sustainable because you get a hot couple of years. Michigan's back because they got the coach in Harbaugh.
First team to 1,000 wins, by the way.
You got Ohio State. They stayed up even through all the turmoil with, NCAA sanctions and things like that. Georgia came back. Alabama's been Alabama.
I mean, Georgia was never at the bottom though. Like, they were still
Mark Richt,
10-2.
they were like 10-2, 8-4, but they weren't competing for championships. That's what I'm saying. Like Texas,
they made some
wasn't
SEC
like
title
2-10
games,
either. Yeah, Texas wasn't 2-10. LSU had some run, but Auburn's kind of dropped. So when you're hiring these coaches, it's like, can I get a flash in the pan? Can we be hot for a couple of years? Because it hasn't. Boise State had a great run until like the mid 2010, around like 2010. Now
everybody kept taking their coaches.
Now they're just an average team.
And now, word on the street is Kellen Moore might be coming home.
I mean, can you give him the right amount of money? Because you got to pay him some money. But I mean, I would go if I was Kellen Moore. Like,
yeah, I would go
because that's the kind of like coach you would want.
Mm-hmm.
With 9 for 15 for 69 yards. It's not a lot of yards, Jalen.
Nope.
But yeah,
that's all right. Swift's got him covered. But yeah, so last week we talked about the Sunflower Showdown. Kansas State has now made it 15 in a row over Kansas. They got all they wanted from that third string quarterback from Kansas, Lance Leipold. Keep your eye out for him in Michigan State. Kentucky and Louisville this week. Over at Cardinal Stadium, Kentucky's won 4 in a row in the series. Now, this is like we talked about it last week. We don't think that Louisville has a path to get to the playoff. But they should still win this game and still go beat Florida State next week if they want to have a great season.
Yeah, you saying like them being undefeated or having the one loss?
Their one loss is just bad. Like if they could have traded their loss to somebody else, like they lost by 17 points to 3-win Pitt. That's the problem. If they lost to say, even if they would have lost to Miami, that would have been okay, maybe. Just off of name recognition, people would not view Miami a certain way. But yeah, like I just think that loss is just too much to come back.
Too bad of a loss.
Yeah. But I got Louisville beating Kentucky. They're favored by 7. I think Kentucky covers. But Kentucky is a mess right now. They put up 14 on South Carolina the other day. Obviously, they haven't recovered since that Georgia beatdown. Will Leary came in from NC State. It was supposed to be the answer at quarterback. Kentucky finally has a quarterback, and yet they still look like Iowa.
Yeah.
Maryland and Rutgers.
More than just the quarterback. The scheme has to match your players. I think sometimes coaches feel like their scheme is as tangible as as they want, but it isn't. A lot of times it's like, your scheme doesn't match the players you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you want isn't as explosive as you think, because everybody wants an explosive offense. They're like, oh, we want to go out here and 27 points. I think 27 to 30. Well, college you want about 31 points. NFL, if you're around 26 to 27, 28 points, you're among tops in the league. Sometimes like your scheme is a little bit more archaic than you think it is. Like it's not as good as you have drawn it up on your whiteboard or your iPad or your Microsoft Surface tablet.
Woo! Mm-hmm. So I ain't said nothing.
Oh yeah, I'm just
letting you catch up to it. But Minnesota, has a game against Wisconsin this weekend where they're trying to become bowl eligible. Nebraska with Mr. Logical's favorite coach, Matt Rule. They got to win on Friday.
Brock Purdy's little brother.
Yeah, they got to win on Friday against Iowa so that they can go to a bowl. And let's see, here we go. We got ourselves a tush push, people.
They had a chance. They had a chance against.
Got a flag down against Wisconsin last week.
Uh-huh. And they went away from. Ooh, good throw. They went away from what was working in the first half, or maybe Wisconsin adjusted. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But Brock Purdy's little brother, Chubba, he was moving. He was running, and he had a long rush touchdown. It's just that it just didn't work, and then they missed the field goal. Yeah, like I said, I'm just not.
Yeah,
like
who thought that after that game against Colorado that Nebraska would be the one that has the chance to go bowling?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, Deion does have a couple of bad. They have a couple of bad losses too.
They went and got 56-14 the other night up on the Palouse. I just had to bring up Colorado so I could say Palouse. I just had to get that in there. I got to find a way to work Palouse into the episode every week. But
every week,
but yeah. So Colorado is done for. They're going over to Salt Lake City this weekend. I don't know if they're going to get another 56-14, but they might get a 41-17.
Yeah, I see like a 34-14 kind of game where just Utah the the fronts for Colorado. Like, I don't know what that running back was talking about. We could have gone undefeated if we didn't play selfish. It's like, nah.
Cavassier Smoke. What does he know about undefeated? He came from Kentucky. And then you got Oregon, the Civil War. Like I said, the Civil War. I think Oregon, I don't know if they're going to put the boots to the Beavers, but obviously I shot my load by picking the Beavers to beat Washington last week. But that would be something for them to beat Oregon, to end Oregon's chances to get to the playoff or the Pac-12 title game. So they do have something to play for, even though they can't.
Yeah, you do want to hit them with the Dan Campbell, like we can't go to the playoffs, they can't go either kind of situation, like we did against Green Bay.
And I remember like about a year ago, when I was at my previous job, I had a conversation where I said that I thought that Jonathan Smith was either the best coach in the Pac-12 or second best behind Kyle Whittingham. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And here you go. The Beavers are still in the top 15, damn it. But I've heard his name out there for the Michigan State job. The good news for Oregon State is that it's his alma mater. So, like maybe he stays, maybe he'll stay home, but Penn State, has Michigan State Friday, the land grant trophy, which nobody considers a rivalry for real. But Drew Aller, got hurt, last week. So we'll see if he plays this week. That game against Michigan State is at Ford Field. I think Penn State shouldn't have a problem either way. But, so this is another thing that I don't like. Get it off my chest. I don't like these conference games. Besides the Red River Shootout, besides the cocktail party between Georgia and Florida, I don't like these conference games in the NFL stadium. You're like, why is Michigan State playing Penn State at Ford Field? That's a game where you play USC or you play an SEC team out of conference and play them at Ford Field.
Are they trying to just sell the idea of a rivalry?
I don't know what they're trying to do, but it's not a rivalry.
Out the stadium. Yeah, it's not.
Penn State is still trying to bite on Ohio State and Michigan's ankles to get some attention.
Yeah, LeVar Arrington went in. He was like, that's not a Penn State thing. Penn State's thing, and it sounded kind of like a cop-out, like he was just kind of being a stand for Franklin. He was like, our thing isn't to beat Ohio State or to beat Michigan. That's not like you shouldn't, like, it's not for us to fire a coach if we don't beat these teams. Like, that's not our thing. And I was like, I get it, but if your coach can't ever win the big game, then
what is it, 3-17 now or something like that?
Are you just good being relevant?
Well, that's why it's interesting, because Texas A&M has the ability to set off the dominoes everywhere. Like, I know we joked about it. I brought it up in lightheartedness and I wasn't being half serious. But what if Texas A&M went and got Lincoln Riley? Like, college football, or what if they did go get Dabo?
What if they got James Franklin?
What if they got James Franklin? I brought him up too. Like, what if they go get James Franklin? Like, Texas A&M has the ability.
Their best bet, like I said, is to go get Kingsbury, because he's an assistant on the staff. He's already had head coaching. That'd be my number one target.
Yeah, and if you get Lincoln Riley, you send Kingsbury to USC.
Well, he's already there.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
Kingsbury, he's already there. Like, yeah, so I would, because I could probably pay Kingsbury $7.5 a year.
Mm-hmm.
I got to pay Lincoln Riley $15.
Yeah, his buyback's like $80 million, so he ain't going
you gotta buy him away from USC,
mm-hmm.
and you might not buy that many victories just by buying him. You might be 7-5 with Kingsbury, and you could be potentially 9-3 with Lincoln Riley. So it's like, do I need to pay $7.5 million more per year?
Well, I gotta think that A&M is going to nab somebody that is a big time player.
They're not gonna grab an assistant that's hot. They're not gonna get the Washington offensive coordinator. They're not gonna get Iowa's defensive coordinator. They're not gonna make a move like that. They're gonna make a move like they're gonna get like swing for the fence and offer Harbaugh $18 million a year kind of thing. Which, if you can afford it, that's at a minimum. I know they already sell out their stadium, but you'll have ESPN there all the time. You'll be the new darlings of
Mahomes out here trying to play playground football again. But yeah, so like I'm just interested to get this party started. Like I'm almost looking more forward to that than I am this weekend's football games. Like I just want to see who A&M's going to hire and what it's going to set off.
That's not a false start. My bad.
A
couple plays behind.
But yeah, I'm trying to see, and now that Syracuse is open, like, I don't know who they go after, but it shouldn't make any big ripples.
They'll go get like New Mexico State's defensive coordinator or something like that.
Well, their former defensive coordinator is the defensive coordinator at Nebraska right now, Tony White. So I'll keep an eye on him. I'll keep an eye on Sean Lewis, offensive coordinator out at Colorado. Only problem with him is that he was the offensive coordinator under Dino Babers when he first got to Syracuse. So they might not want
him to come back with the same thing.
Yeah. They might not want that association, even though I think Sean Lewis is a pretty damn good coach that Dion is treating unfairly, but that's a whole nother story. Hey. See, that's the problem with a coach like Dion, right? Is that like everything is there's a lot of attention that comes with Dion, and when things don't go right, social media world, we're impatient, we overreact to everything. So he takes the offensive coordinator's play calling, away, even though like that was the least of their problems.
Yeah, I think he was just kind of hoping that it was going to make up for, like the offense could make up for their shortcomings.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said though. Like they don't have an offensive line, they don't have a defensive line, so like they're
going to lose the trenches no matter what.
Yeah, like I mean, you're a good coach just because you won the 4 games that you did win in this situation. You know what I mean? So you get some linemen in there. Maybe you win 8 next year. We'll see. Like in the Big 12, like, 'cause I mean, like thinking about it, right? You got what? Oklahoma State, Utah's coming with you. The Arizona schools are coming. But like how many schools, who should Colorado look at in the Big 12 and think that's the big boy? They should think that they're the big boy.
Utah.
Yeah, Utah. That's about it. Like obviously Arizona's having a great season this year.
You got Kansas State. They're there. Oklahoma. You say Oklahoma and Texas are
Oklahoma
leaving.
State. Yeah, Oklahoma and Texas are leaving. So you don't have
Oklahoma State's still there.
Mm-hmm. You got TCU. Texas Tech. Baylor, who's probably going to be having a new coach as well. Because I don't know what happened there. They went 12-2 in 2021, won the Big 12 title, and
because some of these schools you're flash in the pan, and it's like that's the thing when you hire and fire coaches, you might just have a hot year. I mean, you made a hot line, I made it a hot song, so it's like it might be that situation where it's not the nature of your school to be ultra successful. Just being relevant might be the ceiling for some schools, except when you get that recruit, you get the recruit and you get 3 years of like good football, and then you get what TCU got last year with the run to the national championship game. Mm-hmm. And then this year they're single digit wins. You get it. Like that's what you get. You get this rise and you ride it out and you enjoy that year and you go to ESPN game day and that's what you get.
That's the thing next year. When those things happen, people come for your prizes. They had Garrett Riley, Lincoln's little brother, as the offensive coordinator last year, along with Max Duggan. Max Duggan's gone now, and Garrett Riley's over at Clemson because Clemson, came calling with the checkbook.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, is that once these teams do have these years like that, That's what happened. Like you mentioned it earlier. That's what happened to Boise State. You
It
know,
happens. It happens. NFL teams in the Super Bowl, guys on the team that are corners in contract years, they want, hey, I shut down AJ Brown in the Super Bowl. I want 12, 15, 16 million dollars a year. Or I was Super Bowl MVP. I want $20 million a year. Detroit's willing to give me this. You know, Chicago's willing to give me this. So it's like you lose pieces. That's why you have to rebuild. That's why you have to get a level-headed coach, somebody that, like I say, you have the cachet that you can keep people coming back. Like Alabama keeps losing offensive coordinators, but Nick Saban's there, and people want to come back, show that they can work under in a tough, demanding environment, and then they go on, and then another person comes in and do the same thing.
All right, so last question, last thing. So I know you said what LeVar Arrington said, but Penn State loses to Michigan, Ohio State next year. Like, do we start hearing rumbling?
Well, not if they keep selling out that stadium.
Because I figure
that town, like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is in the middle of Pennsylvania. There's nothing else around it. It is the economic lifeblood in that region. There's nothing else there. Like, there's no other reason to go to the middle of Pennsylvania. Like, you're going all the way to Pittsburgh, which is super far west, or you're going to Philly, which is the east. So the middle part, that's they got that all locked. Yeah. So any bars, restaurants, breweries, textile companies, whatever it is, it's all like, granted, it's the state capital, but it's like, that's it. Everything's right there. Other than that, it's farm all around it. So you need that piece of your economy. So you need the team to be good. You saw the picture from Colorado. Their first game last season was like probably 6, 7, maybe 10,000 people versus the game this year. It's the same thing with like the LeBron effect when he left Cleveland. Like, Cleveland is a major city in America, but without
Hall of Fame
without something guiding people downtown to spend money, restaurants falter. You need that, and I think James Franklin keeps you in that position of where you're just selling out 100,000 tickets every week. You're selling out all the merch, the white T-shirts for the whiteout game. You're doing everything. I was
thinking about it the other day. Like obviously Penn State, is one of those jobs that, like, when you just say Penn State and it just sounds like college football. So I was trying to think to myself, like, if I was like somebody like a James Franklin and I'm coaching at Penn State, what are the jobs that I would leave for? Like, I would think like I would leave for USC.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think
I think I would.
I think the 2005 and before, I think that legacy is dope. But they're not even I think they're a popular team in LA, but they aren't. Like, the head coach of USC isn't the man in California.
Well, that's just because they're not
James
winning.
Franklin's
they're fickle.
The man. But even Pete Carroll had a little buzz, but he still had Kobe. Like, if you're at a restaurant, Pete Carroll's walking up in 2004 and Kobe's walking up, you can only fit in one entourage, or like, you bring out that extra table. Who you getting that table to? Kobe or Pete Carroll? Kobe's getting that table.
Kobe getting that table.
James Franklin can go and get whatever business deal he wants in State College. Like, oh, you want to buy this property? He's getting that deal. He has that kind of cachet in that environment.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Nick Saban is the man in Alabama.
Here we go, y'all. 4th and 2. This is it. 2:18 left. Mahomes in the gun. 11 on the play clock. Snap. Mahomes back to pass. Throw. And, of course, he hits all reliable.
I'm behind you, and I know, like, so you said all reliable.
Yeah, so now we're going to hit the 2-minute warning. Oh, it looks like they're going to get a playoff, actually. They're at the 20, at their own 20, that is. Mahomes on the run, throw across the middle, all reliable again for about 13 more. So 2-minute warning, 156 left to be exact. Oh, there's a flag down.
All right,
There's a flag down.
Kelsey's having an awful day.
Fletcher Cox is like giving the
Yelling.
Rashae Caldwell eyes to the refs. Let's see, personal foul, roughing the passer against Fletcher Cox. I'm gonna have to see that replay. That was probably one of those bitch made. He's just a quarterback, so y'all gonna give him the call.
No, he landed on him probably.
You know what I'm saying? All right, I guess we'll see this through to the end. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. He's running.
Hold on.
Okay, okay.
Now I'm up. Now I'm up to that play.
Okay, I see it.
I want to see it.
That's a good call. It was just unnecessary.
It looks like I saw the hit, but
it was just unnecessary. It was just unnecessary. But yeah, so but I don't know.
He's giving the Rashae call eyes.
Yeah, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, USC. Like for me, if I was James Franklin, I'm like USC. I guess not for me personally, but I guess Notre Dame, you know, would be a step up in prestige.
It used to be.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah.
I think the name Notre Dame.
Like what if Dabo left? And like I don't think you would want to follow him.
Some of these guys are getting too old. I know as we're getting up there in our own years, you know, my 42 years around the sun, some of these guys are going to phase out eventually. I think Franklin kind of has a young look and a young feel, kind of looks like Michael Keegan. Did like a little prank. He went to Penn State. But a lot of these guys, Dabo, Sweeney, Alabama's winning. So I think they're good to go. Kirby Smart's young. Like I said, I just saw the other day that he intercepted Peyton Manning when they were in college. But I think Nick Saban's philosophy is relevant and young, and they're putting pieces. And he adjusted. They used to be a power run team, all defense. Now you have, if you get an Alabama wide receiver in the NFL, you're getting the top flight wide receiver. So I think he's been able to adapt and adjust. He uses transfer portal. I think he uses social media connections, the commercials. Dabo Sweeney's not in commercials. James Franklin's not in commercials. It's like,
how old do you think James Franklin is?
If I had to guess, 52.
That's pretty good. He's 51. What about Dabo?
Dabo is like 56.
54.
Look at me.
So they still got time. You know, they still got some
but that's the difference right now.
Unless Dabo really don't want to deal with NIL.
That's the thing, is like, because Dion is over 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dion
was in college making rap songs when I was 7.
Yeah, like he became my favorite player in the NFL when I was 9.
Let's see. Dion is 56.
So Dion's 56, and the way he uses social media and that connectivity via the social media world to his players and to the fans is way different than Dabo, and Dabo's younger. So it's just a matter of like, are you thinking old? Are you actually old? We talked about the Villanova coach, Jay Wright. You know, rumor has it, he said, you know, I don't feel like dealing with the new way. I don't want to deal with the new way. Whereas, you know, you have a guy like Kirby Smart, like, okay, you can transfer out. I'm Georgia. I haven't lost a game since Trump was president. I'm gonna get guys to come here. Like, guys are gonna want to play here. They're gonna want to be here. So it's like,
we going up top. We got our stuff. I'm letting you catch up to that one. I'm letting you catch up to that one. Woo!
You're the worst. Yo, I really need to.
No, watch this shit, man.
Hold on, I'm not even there yet. They're still showing the replay.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, he hit the hell out of Mahomes on that last. They're showing a replay now.
Oh my God. Stream. No, watch this play. Holy shit, man. Oh my goodness, man.
Here we go. I'm watching it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Valdez
Yo.
Scantling.
Yo.
Oh, we got a flag. What's going on here? Yeah, I was like, when I saw that, I was just like, over the top to the what?
All right, so you're up. You're
That
up.
looks like the Detroit.
You're
You
up.
know,
You're up. You're up. You're up. Come on, dog. That hit both hands perfectly.
and then of course on the next play, Mahomes goes intentional grounding. But yeah, like when I saw that, like it made me think about week 1 all over again, and Kadarius Toney dropping off the passes. Oh, why are y'all doing
Kansas
this?
City did themselves a disservice by not
Getting DeAndre Hopkins or
but
like
not getting somebody at the trade deadline. It was a clear need that you had. All right, well,
they could have went and got like Lazard or somebody. Like it didn't even have to be like a superstar. Like you know what I mean? Like that's the crazy part about it. They could have got Van Jefferson.
It would have been better than I don't know. Man, come on.
Holy shit, man.
Marquez Valdez Scantling.
You know Aaron Rodgers is like even mad right now.
Because
he tried to pull it in like a baby. It hit his hands and he brought it up to like his shoulder.
Because he's not a good receiver. He's not
Holy
like
shit. All right, so here we go, y'all. 4th and 25.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
Yeah, we got a timeout now. But yeah, so like I was I was literally just sitting there like this man made me lose everything that was on my mind right now. Like I can't believe this shit.
You gotta cut him. You gotta cut him. You gotta he's inactive. He is proven to be of no use to you this whole season.
Treat him like a kicker. You know what I'm saying?
Like it's not one of those things where it's like, we'll get like no, you can't like this is not quality football from their receiving core. Yeah, like I said, this is why they're gonna lose in the first round of playoffs. Like it's already their first playoff game they're gonna lose. Because none of their wide receivers can make a play. And like I said this to you a few weeks ago.
But look at my face though.
Like after the Denver game, I was like, this team doesn't, like I said, they were making like the plays they were making. It's pretty ridiculous. But like I said,
look at my face.
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the iPad. I'm doing the Eli. I'll let you be. Well, yeah, you're older than me. No, I'm older than you.
No, just look at this play, man. Just look at this fucking play. I'm so done with this team.
Hit him in the hands.
4th and 25, and he was open.
Hit him in the hands at 26.
Hit him in the hands. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. But y'all, on that note,
man, they're gonna squander it. They're gonna squander. Come on, man. You didn't even get your hands closed. I mean, he was interfered with.
Oh, but y'all, he is Mr. Logical. I am 2-5.
Oh, that was pass interference.
Happy Turkey Day. What was it? You call it You call it Thanksgiving. I call your holiday Hell Day. You know what I'm saying? But yo, we'll be back next week. Enjoy all the football. And don't forget, there's some basketball going on. There's some hockey going on. There's some soccer going on. That's why I said Mo Salah earlier
about that drop.
I just can't even
about the drop, man. That's a game-winning, game-changing play at least. And it's like
I just can't even believe
Never makes them.
I just can't even believe this shit.
Yeah, he's a healthy scratch next week.
You know? But yeah, so we love you, America. Peace.